It is 9 o'clock. Please call the meeting to order and please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Turn things over to Administrator Ewing.
All right. Okay, Mr. Chairman and board members, this is our organizational meeting of the year. The first thing on our agenda is the election of a chair and a vice chair. So at this time, I will call for nominations for board chair for the year 2022.
Mr. Administrator, I would like to nominate Les Nath, the commissioner from the Jasper area, as our chairperson this year, keeping our tradition of rotation.
Have a nomination.
I'll support that.
Okay. Do we ask for more nominations? Yeah, any more nominations from the floor for chair?
I would nominate Luke Johnson.
Okay, Luke by Les, nominate. Okay. Are there any further nominations? Any further nominations?
Is there a second for that one?
Oh, you said,
You don't need a second for
not a nomination, right? Okay. Any further nominations from the floor? That's third time. Motion would be in order to cease nominations and vote for a chair. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Someone like to make that motion to cease nominations? I can't make the motion.
Okay.
Motion to cease nominations.
Okay. Do you have a second to that?
I'll second that one.
Okay. Okay, a motion and a second by Dallas to cease nominations.
Is it appropriate to have discussion at this point or not?
certainly.
I believe so.
If I may ask, what would be the reason to depart from our normal routine of regular rotation? Is there a specific reason for that?
I think there's some ongoing issues that some feel continuity might be in order. But, and it's not like it's never happened, but it's up to the board, of course.
I'm confused because again, the chairperson has no more power than any other member of this board.
You're correct.
So I don't understand the reason for the continuity. Could you further explain that?
I'd say there's some particularly issues with the hospital that that we'd like to see continuity, I guess. I'd call the question.
So we have two for chair. So all those in favor needed for Les as chair, signify by saying aye. I presume that's the way we go.
Aye.
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 So we have 3 ayes. All those against?
Right.
So if there's no vote, that's an aye. Is that correct? If I don't hear anything, that's
guess so.
a positive vote.
That's fine.
So that would be 4 votes for less, 1 vote against.
Okay,
That would say motion passes.
yep,
Okay. Les is the chair.
then turn it over to
Okay.
Les.
Mr. Chairman, you have the floor.
Okay, at this time, we'll take nominations for vice chairman. Who is next on the
Normal rotation, I
rotational?
think would be, Dan, I believe, would be in the rotation for vice chair, according to past practice. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
I nominate Dan for vice chair. Is there a second?
I don't think you need a second for a nomination.
Okay. Any further nominations?
Nominate Chris for vice chair.
Any further nominations? If not, I guess we'll vote.
Okay.
And we have,
Can we open this for discussion
Sure.
before we vote? Just want to comment that I understand that there's concerns for continuity and other reasons and whatnot, but I just believe that that's how we've done it. I believe that's how we should keep doing it. If it comes to my turn, and I guess if you guys don't feel fit, that's fine. I'm not here for popularity contest. I'm not here to please anybody. I'm fine with that at the end of the day. I got enough pride I can swallow it. But I know board chair means a lot, or even vice chair means a lot to some people. And there's a lot of constituents that put their vote for each of us to get up here from the beginning. And that means a lot to some people, so I would like to see continuity with the way we've handled things previously. The progression of the chairs. That's the end of my comment.
okay. Okay, we got 2 nominees. Well, vote for Dan Wildermuth.
Aye.
Opposed?
Right,
For
Take
Chris,
that as
yeah,
Take that as a 4-1.
yeah, okay. Chris is, or Dan will be the vice chair.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. The action items we need to take care of this morning, rules and procedures, resolution.
Mr. Chairman and board members, you have in front of you Resolution 590122. This is an annual resolution. Pipestone County Board functions within the statutory framework of the Minnesota law. General powers and responsibilities are found in Minnesota statutes, especially but not exclusively Chapters 370, 373, and 375. Minnesota statute supersedes all bylaws, rules, and policies established by the board. You have different headings there. We have rules for quorum, role of the presiding officers, addressing the chair, public participation, conduct of debate. The rules regulating that are 10 subdivisions on that. And consent agenda, this is the way we handle all of our business at each and every meeting. Recommendation would be to approve 590122.
Mr. Chair, move for approval.
second.
Any further discussion before we vote? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next up, per diem setting resolution.
Mr. Chairman and board members, you have in front of you Resolution 590222. This is the same resolution as we did last year. Per diem rates were not increased. They are set at $100 per day, and that goes back to December 17th of 19. I'll still listed at $100 per day. There is a subsection in there regarding, in addition to the resolution, committee listings and incidents are covered by the per diem allowance, including AMC committees and meetings, countywide economic development, annual joint powers meetings, Minnesota functions, Vera McKinnon functions, solid waste issues, law enforcement proceedings, hospital board approved functions, Minnesota Hospital Association functions, and judicial ditch number 1 issues. And these all go along with, as we get to the following, we get into the committees as well. Recommend the board pass resolution 590222.
Mr. Chair, I move that we recommend, that we approve resolution 5902-2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Then, auditor warrants authorization.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this is resolution 5903, 2022. And auditor warrants are paid by the auditor's office. The listing is here. This listing has not changed since last year. One of the issues we talked about last week when Nick Bergman was here, highway engineer, was he wanted to make sure that R&B cutting edges were still on there, and that is part of the list, is those are pretty much a need now thing and generally can't wait, so he wanted those added to it. Other than that, there have been no changes to the auditor's warrants. So I'd recommend passage of 5903, 2022.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve that. Is there a typo on the sheet that we have, I believe?
Yes, it should,
Okay.
on the warrants, it should be, that's 20212, it should be 2022.
Yeah.
I'll make that change. as
Noting
a
that
final.
typo change, and I'll move that we approve resolution 5903-2022.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And moving on, workman's compensation for elected officials.
Mr. Chairman and board members, this is an annual as well. The Board of Commissioners, by resolution, recognize themselves as officials in all workers' compensation reports and audit, and the resolution is intended to meet statutory requirements from the state of Minnesota and confirm existing practice and not establish a new practice. So you're technically under workers' compensation, you are an employee of the county in that respect. By statute, you are not employees of the county, but workers' compensation needs to be afforded to the commissioners as well as the employees for the duties that they run into and move through. Recommend passage of 590422.
Move for approval.
Okay,
Support.
okay. Chris and Dallas. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Elected officials' minimum salaries. No, better back up. Designated public depositories.
Amanda, would you like to come up for a minute, please? This is resolution 590522, where the following banks and financial institutions working with the County Board of Commissioners are designated public depositories. We have a list there, and two of the banking facilities, financial institutions have been scratched: Morton Capital Markets and Regions Bank. Amanda, do you have any more information you want to add to those?
Sure, yeah. So that Morton Capital Markets / US Bank, they're kind of together. It's an account that Tyler had set up, but no money has ever gone into it. So I did debate on closing it, but I decided to just have it transferred to my name, and then we'll leave that open. So we're leaving that US Bank on there. Both the Northland Securities / Pershing and then the Regions Bank, those dealt with bonds and debt. Again, the Regions Bank was dealing with the hospital debt, which is done, so we figured we can take that off. We verified that with the hospital, and they said that that was fine. Northland Securities Pershing, I guess, thought was that we have used that in the past, if we should keep that on, but again, that I'm kind of debatable. I mean, we can always add them later, but I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but I would say we leave that one on since it has been used in the past.
So the recommendation then would be to scratch Morton Bank Capitals, but in its place, put US Bank. Okay, all right, we'll
Yeah.
do that.
And then get rid of probably the Regions.
And then delete Regions. Okay, because the hospital debt is completed with that. Okay.
We move for approval.
Okay.
Second.
Luke and Dan, okay.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thanks, Amanda.
Elected officials minimum salary resolution.
Mr. Chairman and board members, this is an annual 590622. Have one, I gave you a newer one here because we took auditor treasurer off of there, as that is an appointed position, not elected any longer. So, this number has been the same since I can remember, and the actual by statute minimum salary for the county attorney minimum salary is $4,000 according to the 1960 federal census, and that law has never been changed. The other two offices are important to do this year to set those salaries. You can change them if you wish, recommend leaving them the way they are, but we do have an election coming up in 2022, and in the year of an election, the salaries must be set anyway for recorder and sheriff, and if we had auditor treasurer, it'd be the same as well. So, and a county attorney, because those offices are up for election. So recommendation is pass the resolution with the dollar amounts listed there.
Move for approval.
Okay.
Second. In discussion though, why do we have them so unrealistic? Is there any reason that we wouldn't update those?
No, you can update it to anything, any number that you really want to. And talking to other counties, that there was some feeling that if the initial salaries were low enough and possibly someone was elected that had no capability or just wanted to get elected and didn't want to do the job, that having a low minimum salary may not make that appealing. And
Which has happened in the local area.
things do happen, so. But you, also by statute, you set the elected salaries annually, which we just did last week, so we're in compliance with this. This is basically the minimums. Best I can tell you.
That's a valid reason to keep them low then.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Designation of official newspaper.
John Draper's here. John, do you want to come up for a moment? Bill too, excuse me.
Always sitting there.
I know. You're always here.
Not always.
For the most part.
She's a fixture. All right, so in front of you gentlemen, in keeping with tradition, Jill and I have collaborated on a proposal for the legal newspapers. Again, for this coming year, Even Years Edgerton Enterprise is the official newspaper, Pipestone County is the secondary newspaper. If you recall, we switch that every year. We switch out official and secondary. So the rest of the details are basically the same as in the past. The one thing that we've talked about here in years previous would be the rate. The rate in the very first paragraph, $11.50 a column inch. That's keeping with about a 3.1% increase over previous years. Jill and I looked at some history on that, and we were at about a 2.8 to 2.85 over the last 3 years on average. So we're keeping with pretty close to what traditional rate increases have been. So, any questions for us?
At that rate, you are able to cover your costs.
Well, Dan, now that's a very good question.
Because we appreciate the service that you provide for us, but we also don't expect you to have to do it at a loss to your business. So,
Well, I don't need to get in, or Jill and I, we could give you days and days of stories, but the reality is, to make things work for us, we would like more. But we understand that this is a taxpayer entity.
Right.
You guys have budgetary constraints. We have to run our businesses the best we can, so we can't put that burden on all of our advertisers or officials. So we have to walk that fine line. How do we make it work for us and do those things? There are some big struggles in our world. Postage is a big struggle. It's one of our biggest expenses, and it always goes up, and we can't control that.
And then they
Unless we-
still don't deliver the papers.
And then we still have service issues, you know. The other one is paper, you know,
Yeah.
the cost of paper as a commodity, and it's on allocations now. So there's a paper shortage globally. That is affecting our rates and our ability to get paper. It's a big challenge, and it's going to cost us money. We're hoping that's a blip and it'll come down. So those are the two main things that we look at. But at the end of the day, you know, we have to take all those factors into consideration, run our businesses as best we can. And it would be hard for community newspapers to pass along every single cost that we have to incur to all of our consumers, because that would mean my subscription rates would probably double, my local advertising rates would go up maybe 20%. You know, so we do the best we can. It's working. It works.
It works.
But to answer your question, Dan, you know, more is always better. But we understand what position you guys are in.
And that was the reason behind my question. I realize that you have fixed costs as well too, and I certainly appreciate your civic attitude towards it, and I also appreciate, again, the cooperative spirit between the Edgerton Enterprise and the Pipestone County Star. It's nice to see businesses working hand in hand for the common good.
Yeah, and I would say, not to toot our own horns, but I think the county's in a good position with two quality newspapers to represent their communities, and that's a good thing. Not every county has that.
No.
Some counties have no newspapers, you know, so I think we're all in a good position, and our citizens are better off for it. So.
Well, thank both of you for the work you do. And we even appreciate Kyle too.
Don't be too nice to him. That's another cost structure.
One of those
we gotta
fixed
worry about.
costs, that's right.
Mr. Chair, move for approval.
Okay,
I'll support that.
okay. Chris and Dallas,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right.
Thank you.
all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Set the commissioners' meeting dates and times for 2022.
I move for approval.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Set the equalization date of June 13th at 7 PM.
Mr. Chairman, I did confer with Assessor Schmidt on this, and basically it's the same time frame as we've done in years past. It'll be the Monday of that week we can do it, so it'll be Monday, the 13th of June, 7 PM for the County Board of Adjustment and Equalization.
Move for approval.
Okay.
I will second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Committee appointments. You have in front of you the list.
The list.
Huh?
I have a work copy here as well here. And Kyle is here too to talk about the representatives to the Planning Commission as well. I'd like to hear from that as well. That's the first one on the list, so. Kyle, you wanna come up, please?
Nothing too out of the normal. This year we have 2 planning commission member reappointments and 2 board of appeals reappointments. So they're eligible for another 3-year term, and they're all willing to serve another 3-year term. So I didn't see any reason to reach out for additional nominations or appointees. So any questions on the planning commission or board of adjustments?
Those two would be Cal Brower and Gary Alderson.
Correct. The planning commission would be Cal and Carrie, and the board of appeals would be Dan Miller and Tom Bobbendreyer.
And their full terms don't end until the dates we have on the list, do they?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so
So
the
it
list
really
shows
isn't-
how many 3-year terms they can serve, so.
So no change, basically.
Correct.
Want to just approve them?
You could.
Okay. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, anybody want to give up a committee or switch a committee, or we just want to keep them all the same? From my standpoint, I'm familiar with the ones I sat on. And it's hard to go into something again. You start from scratch.
There certainly is a learning curve with these. You know.
It takes a couple of years to get into the routine.
Well, Mr. Chair's, just with me being in the first year of SRDC, I've only had a handful of meetings the whole year. I'm still, learning about that organization, what they have to offer and everything too. So, continuity and that only makes us better on our committees, so.
I just had a couple of questions. On the extension committee, it lists two that term out at the end of 2021. Are they,
Yeah, let's go to page 2 for Extension Committee. The Extension Committee will take up the approval of new members at their March 22 meeting.
okay.
Yep.
So we don't have to worry about it?
Yep, so don't have to worry about it this time. We'll have those names after their meeting in March.
Okay, and then on the health insurance, I'm assuming Amanda will take Tyler's place.
Went through the list on page 3. Library would change to the board chair.
Right.
And health insurance, we need to replace Tom Haig and Tyler, so I added Amanda as the auditor treasurer there. And we'll get a replacement from the law enforcement side for the replacement for Tom, so we'll get that worked out. On the next page, Safety Committee, we'll need to replace Natasha Lemke. She is doing some very part-time work. She's got a different job now, so we'll see if we can get one of the full-time reps out of the sheriff's jailer dispatcher area. I know they're a little short on people right now, so it might be a little bit before we get that filled, but we'll get that one taken care of. Had a question on the Finance Committee. It's listed as quarterly. Would an as-needed be more appropriate for that instead of that?
I think so.
I think we've met once that I recall as a Finance Committee with everybody, so I would like to recommend just changing that to as-needed.
I would.
Okay. Same page under AMC voting delegates, pulled Tyler's off and added Amanda as a representative to that, so that would be our 8 delegates that we have. And then I presume there are no changes to the policy committees that you gentlemen are working with. Audit committee would change. Again, that's as needed. Don't remember that's been done, so it'd be Les, and vice chair would be Dan, and Tyler would be moved off, and Amanda would be moved on to that. Road and Bridge, no changes there. Page 5, had a question on the Southwest 18 Consortium. Is that an annual term, biannual, how often? I didn't know, there's nothing there, so I wanted to put something on there.
Yeah, I'm not aware of what the term is.
Lifetime.
Yeah, I think so.
That's quarterly or semi?
Well,
But you meet, but
yeah.
it's an annual appointment, I
I
presume?
think it's an annual appointment,
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and add annual there on the term then.
Yeah.
And do you meet quarterly?
We meet quarterly, and then also we have an annual meeting as well too. And that's a little bit ambiguous perhaps because I'm representing the county there, even though we also, of course, through Health and Human Services, through Southwest Health and Human Services. So really I wear 2 hats there. I represent both Southwest Health and Services as a 6th of us, and then as the county as its primary as well.
And then for the next one down, the Rock Pipestone Collaborative, is that an annual as well? Term?
Yes,
Okay, so I can change that. Is that a quarterly meeting or as
semi.
semi-annual?
Yep, we'll meet sometime in the end of January and then again before school starts.
Okay. And the only other one I had on that page was the Judicial Ditch Flood Task Force. We had that through 21 listed as needed.
We don't meet on it once last year, I don't think, did we?
Not last year, we didn't, year before. Would you like to delete that committee?
You can if you don't.
Or leave it as an as needed?
As
I'd
needed.
leave it as
As
needed.
needed, I think.
We get a rainy stretch again.
Yep, okay, works for me. And then the last page ahead is hospital board, and I'm presuming those won't be set until the hospital meeting, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so we'll
I
get
gotta-
those filled in after
Where
your
do we have
meeting.
the drug task force? I know I used to sit on that. Think I deleted it? Oh, here it is. Dallas and LaSalle. Found it.
Yep, got it, page 3.
Yep.
Okay.
Now you will revise this and send it out?
Yep, sure will.
I don't think we need to vote on this, do we?
No.
Got the AMC committee appointments done. Transportation project website publication.
Okay, this is the annual that Nick presents, and that's to allow advertising on the web for road and bridge projects, along with their information that they have on, you can get the information on their website as well, so they can advertise, get bidders. So this is annually does that, so would
Move for
request
approval.
approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the mileage reimbursement.
Mr. Chairman, I did checking on this, and the IRS rate is increasing for 2022 to 58.5 cents per mile, up 2.5 cents from 2021. I'd recommend the board approve the increase and set it at 58.5 cents per mile for 2022.
I'll make that a motion.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approve the meal allowance reimbursement rate, $50 a day. We've talked about this in the past. What we had really didn't
No.
meet our needs.
I've heard the same from other departments that travel too, that
Yep. It's for the whole county courthouse, basically.
And does anybody even recall how long it's been set at $30? I mean, that's been a long time. There's been a lot of inflation since then. I think this is very fair for us to bump
I
it
do
up.
too.
Yep.
Since 2017, it's
17, yeah.
30 to 40.
In fact, I'll
5 years.
I'll go ahead and move that we approve the increase from $30 to $40 for our daily meal allowance.
I will second.
It's going from 40 to 50.
Change that motion from 40 to 50.
Oh, I was looking at the old one here.
Yeah.
It was in 617 that went, okay, thank you. I did mean that. So my motion is to change from 40 to 50.
Okay, thank you.
I second that.
Les, okay?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And then guidelines for requested board resolutions and proclamations.
Okay, this is an annual, we did the first one last year. I'll be bringing this back annually. This is for organizations and groups to make recommendations to the county board for proclamations, resolutions, and we're looking at it for we want to do resolutions are issued for public awareness, arts and cultural celebrations, and special honors. And it goes through all the different affirmative actions that we do, approving board minutes, annual budgets, bids and proposals, interim appointments, on to, talks about statements of influence to state and federal policy. We'll work through that. Resolutions about state policy directly and explicitly related to the county budget, programs, and services. For examples, issues of importance raised by AMC, Minnesota Rural Counties, funding of local projects and initiatives. Things we will not issue them for, issues would the county board is not required by federal law or policy, state law, or policy or local policy to act upon unless identified above. For example, expressing opinion on political or ideological controversies, expressing opinion on issues generally identified and known as supported by one political party or opposed by a political party, expressing an opinion or position on topics that have no direct or unambiguous and explicit relationships to the county's programs and services or budgets, and items that we work with, program services, policies, budgets, campaign events are contrary to county policies as well, so. Recommend the board approve that for 2022.
Chair, I'd move for approval.
And I will second.
Okay, Dan and Luke, or Luke and Dan.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
Then we go to Keith. Morning, Sheriff.
Morning. Just have a quick thing here. It's from the state for our money we get from the Office of Justice Programs for the Drug Task Force. We are the financial agents for it now. So we have to have permission from you so I can sign off on stuff when it comes from them. So that's all this is. We have to do it what it looks like every 2 years, so.
And it's been about 2 years since we took it over, right?
Yeah, so I'm requesting that you guys sign, that I can sign off for the money coming in and whatever other stuff that I might have to sign for, so.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
I will second. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you.
How many years have we had this drug task force? It's been quite a while.
I don't,
Yeah, very successful.
15,
Yeah.
20 some. It's been a while.
Okay, thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
I guess I missed one thing. We gotta approve the consent agenda. The auditor warrants 12/30/21.
Mr. Chair, and I have auditors warrants totaling $53,374.23 dated 12/30/21 for approval.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr. Chairman, I have no personnel items from HR Director Kathy Feste on this agenda. She'll be here at the next meeting for personnel items.
Okay. Any further business to come before the board? Not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Stand adjourned.
I see we've got Carl Coon, but we approved that last meeting. This was just still in the packet. Is that what it is?